Alright, what's up YouTube? Thanks for tuning back into part 2 of my S-rank tier list for new players, orbing priority. I always remember this after videos, so since I'm doing these back to back, I just recalled that I never thank my patrons. So I want to thank, I believe, Nick, Brandon, and Adam. I remember two of their usernames, but not who's who, because I'm terrible and I don't write things down. So Nick, Brandon, and Adam, also Retro Revolutions. These guys have been with me for a few months now. So if you want to keep seeing more YouTube channel, give appreciation, whatever, patreon.com/chasegames. Link is always in the description. Well, usually in the description. So anyway, Nick, Brandon, Adam, Retro Revolutions, thank you for your continued patronage. One of them probably just remembered. This probably just reminded one of them they were subbed and probably going to lose one tomorrow. But anyway, thank you guys. All right, so let's keep going with this list. I'm not going to reiterate things that I said in the first video, so, watch them in order. Who wants to miss this? All right, Squidzilla. Oh, God. I think if Squidzilla did anything other than bang physical, I'd probably put him up here now. I'm probably going to put him down here in Worth and Orb. He does some amazing damage, but it's bang physical. So once again, a lot of things do bang damage, but it is a relevant damage type. Physical, there's a lot of evasion units out there. It's not quite what it was before, because breath and spells become an option again. But this guy has a great utility. He does great damage. He's very mobile. High damage, good HP. Guy's just sick. Honestly, I think he probably deserves Orb ASAP. Oh gosh, it's hard. It's really hard. He is still an absolute powerhouse, but some of the new things coming out are just absolutely busted. So it's hard. But yeah, this is not a guy to underestimate, Squidzilla. Hybrid. I always want to call him Prism Peacock. Hybrid. I always confuse these two. Yeah, he got a Blossom recently. I think he's probably a bit more useful than Prism Peacock, because I compare him to him because I always mix them up. He's got amazing agility, okay? He's very mobile, but he's got no survivability. And his damage, he's not one-shotting anything, so he's just too squishy without... He's a glass cannon, but doesn't actually put anything down. So you'll find some use for him, but there's just so many better things. So there you go. Nightclubber. Nightclubber is awesome. I'm gonna put him. Oh, let's put him there. He's really good. It's typeless physical damage. He has a high crit rate. He's gonna hit things a bajillion times. He hits more times the more things that are in his fan range damage. So he hits a 7-tile area, and for each unit in there, he's going to do more damage to everything else as well. It's busted. The only thing is that he doesn't really have any range, so his attack has a good range on it, but he's only movement 2. He's fairly slow, and his attack is only decent. He's going to do a lot of damage, but his attack stat isn't great, so... Again, I'm only putting this guy in Orb instead of Must Orb, because I think he's PvE only. Yeah, it just doesn't have enough range. And if he's only hitting 1 or 2 units, it's not great. Where you're going to see him shine and look godly is when he's hitting 3 or 4 units at once in PvE, and then he's absolutely busted. Okay, so yeah, be happy if you get copies of Nightclubber. But I just think there's a lot of things. Seraphi, Zoma, Bianca are all pretty easy to get right. Well, okay, I say Zoma is easy to get right now because if you're a brand new player, you can get him with your beginner's mission ticket. By the way, side note, for that beginner mission ticket to let you get any of the old Darker Hero units, it's basically Zenlon or Malroth. If you draw one, get the other. Very few exceptions there. Hargan, I believe, is included in there too. So if you get both of them, get Hargan. But I think, honestly, I think I would, I don't know. I don't know which of these two I would put first, but Malroth is indispensable for Blossom Doors. He's also an option for Sorrow. There are some better options for taking out Sorrow, who's still a very, very, very relevant unit. But I guess I would put him higher than Hargan. Metal Dragon. Oh, I think I'm going to put him, like, right here. He's still worth an orb. He's one of the older Blossom units. I believe he occasionally follows up attacks within range with his missile, but it's not a range 1, 2, 3 on his follow-up, it's range 3, so he has to be exactly 3 tiles away from whatever one of your ally hits, and then it has a 40% chance of launching a missile at it that can occasionally lower defense, I believe. Occasionally it's 40%. Once again, boys and girls. He can be really useful on a giant boss battle, as long as he is not weak to the boss's main element. I believe this guy is going to be godly, but we haven't had any giant boss battles in a while, and that's just one mode. That's just one stage. Yeah, this guy is really amazing, and I think he's a lot of fun. It's just so many other things, but he is typeless martial damage, so it's good damage, but it's never going to be amazing damage. Great Troll. Great Troll is definitely meh. No mobility. His attack is only meh. He's got a lot of HP. I think his defense might be decent too. This guy, when he gets to Blossom, is probably going to be awesome because his raw stats are there. He just has... He's like where Squidzilla was. Squidzilla always hit like a beast, even though he's nature. Haha. No, Squidzilla always hit hard AF. Okay? His Blossom didn't give him more power. It gave him mobility. I think Great Troll's probably in that same slot. But right now, definitely not worth an orb. God, no. He's one of the worst units. Alright, this guy. Oh my god, dude. In the first 6 months of the game, this guy was must orb. He's... well, not actually. So he was one of the best units, but you didn't actually have to orb him. This guy's been blossomed. But here's the thing. He's all about poisoning and landing Envenomate on things, and he's quite good at it. Although there's a lot of other things that do that too. He has a leader skill that makes that much more likely. The thing is that the things that... It doesn't work on bosses. There are no bosses anymore that allow you to poison them. And basically anything else on the state... Poison is still... Envenomate is still a really good thing to do. But there's other units that do it better. You'd rather bring Malroth that will put them to sleep at the same time. Okay? From range. Okay, with more survivability. Malroth is so much better than Hell Gladiator. It's ridiculous. And, you know, the only difference is the leader skill. Hell Gladiator's leader skill is no longer relevant. Even though, you know, for the first year of this game, for the first 6 months, this guy was revered. He was ridiculously OP. Because there were bosses that could be completely resistant to poison, and this guy would bring it down to only slightly resistant or whatever. So you actually had a chance to poison bosses. And then they just made workarounds that just bosses had a perk that made them immune to poison, and he doesn't get around that. So, anyway, this guy, he is in Can't Get, so I'm not going to go too much about it. It's going to take you about a year to get this guy. You got to wait for DQ9 to come to Reminiscence. No, Dragon Quest X, sorry. You got to wait for Dragon Quest X to come to Reminiscence, so I'm not going to talk about him. This guy, he just got added to the general pool. This guy is awesome. Here's the thing. I would only suggest blossoming him or Bianca. Now, he's going to do more single target damage. He's a lot better at taking out Sorrow, which is that's a very important thing. But yeah, I would say one or the other, because they're both that physical. Even though Bianca does less single target damage, she's doing a large fan area. So it's 1 square, 3 squares, 5 squares. Okay? That's awesome. So even if you're not one-shotting Sorrow, something else can finish it off, hopefully. Although honestly, it usually takes like 2 more hits to take down Sorrow, because she won't take all of his HP. So then you have to drain his HP, and then you have to do a follow-up hit. But we're getting more multi-attackers now, so... Anywho, Nel'jal. I think it... Nelgel, you know what? You can't get Nelgel right now, so I'm not going to bother talking about him. You can't get him. He's not tied to an event. He's just not in any of the summons that are up right now. This is Uber Killing Machine. Oh, I don't know if this is Over or Uber. Do I already have him? Do they have like the same profile picture, or did I get him twice? I don't know. The other Killing Machine. He's right there. He's like this. No, they're. Are they different? Is that the same unit? This one's just cropped, I think. Do I have the... I don't know, man. There's Uber and Over Killing Machine, and they're both... I mean, Uber's going to be better than Over because he's like 6 months newer, but you absolutely need an awakening on them. And I don't think he was that great when he came out. Now that he's, you know, close to a year outdated, essentially. He was the first unit after the 1 year. He's just completely irrelevant, so no. They're both could get a Blossom sometime soon, so that would probably make them awesome. But for right now, they're bad. I'm gonna put her. You can't get Ann Lucia right now, so she's right there. Same with the this is the dark this is the dark luminary, the Maluminary, and the regular luminary from DQ10. They're just not available right now. Didn't I already do Parano? Huh. Giggity. So, whatever. Worker 2, okay, he got copied. Extreme Killing Machine. He, like, I mean, he came out like a month or two ago. He's crap. Okay. No. I'm sure he has some uses, but, like, I don't know. I could be too harsh on it. Compared to new units, maybe compared to all of these things on the list, I'm being harsh. Compared to new units, he's garbage. And also, sorry, you can't get him right now. Or, wait, no, wait. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Okay, sorry, he's on the banners, my bad. Yeah, I do not suggest orbing him. How many, why did I get so many repeats here? You can't get him either, and I don't really know. I don't think he's that good. But he's probably really good if you get a couple copies, but you can't get him right now. Fallen Angel Corvus is available. He's, like, basically the latest units that's there. He is. Oh my god, he's... I'm going to put him up here. I'm going to put him at, like, number 3 of what we've got right now. His damage is meh, but he's got... It's good, but it's not great. It's typeless physical. He's not a huge high attacker, and you're probably going to want to sacrifice an attack weapon on him for more agility, depending on what you're doing. That's it. He's got full evasion to physical and martial for the first 3 turns. So a lot of, you know, if there's only physical and martial damage on the map, nothing hurts him for the first 3 turns. And he's going to do some relevant damage. He does some decent Sizz physical as well. That it has a keyword called Surefire, so it literally doesn't miss, which means it can hit full evasion units. So yeah, he's really awesome. So you might be a little bit disappointed in his damage, but he's a full physical evasion unit, so that is pretty busted. All right, sir, we already did that. Corvus, okay, so we got regular Corvus. I was really hyped for this guy, and he's good, but I don't use him much. I don't know. Let's put him in the middle of this. He does some really good typeless and whoosh damage. I don't know if it's... I think it's good, not busted. He reduces damage based on his max HP. So anything that you hit him with, he takes off 30% of his max HP, which isn't as broken as I thought, but I'm sure it's very strong. I think he has decent agility. I can't recall. You definitely need an awakening on him. So anyway, he's good, but he's not broken. I thought he might be broken, but he's not. Greynarl. I don't know if it's that he's meta or not. I think this... I don't know if Greynarl is the bottom of Must Orb or the top of Orb ASAP. I think he's really good. I'm going to leave him up here because if you have this guy, you should try to get Zenlon, okay? That's 2 really strong dragons, and they're going to be busted together, okay? So, there you go. Yeah, he does really strong Zap breath damage. A good single target Frizz breath, and I think the damage on them both is really high. I don't have them, so it's all hearsay from me. I know he's busted my ass in Arena. So, there you go. Barbarous. I think Barbarous is going to be like at the bottom of Orb ASAP. And I'm only putting him in ASAP instead of Worth because of Zenlon coming. But I don't think many people have him, but he is in the celebration banners right now. So if you get a copy or two of them, you might consider orbing him if you get Zenlon. Ashlynn, I'm going to put Ashlynn down here. You know, she's somewhere in that list of meh. I've heard that she can do some good damage, but I believe she's a weaker version of Jessica. And there's just I don't know. There's just so many other things to orb, and I've just never really seen her use. So I think she probably puts out some good numbers, but right now she's meh. There's better things to orb. Jessica I included on this, but I just can't get her. I think she's going to be absolutely busted, but I'll leave her down here. This is a story unit. This is Dragon Quest Monsters. She's fairly strong, but you can't get her, so it's going to take like a year. Why are there so many repeats? I must have loaded the list wrong. Anyway, Diamond Slime. Oh my god, Diamond Slime is busted. Put him like around here. Okay. He resists everything but typeless damage. He's resistant to all elements. He's got, I believe, a 45% damage reduction. And he's resistant to every status condition other than Charm. So this guy is really, really strong. If you get him the 3 Awakenings somehow, he has basically a counterattack, I believe. But yeah, this guy is just an amazing cover tank, and his damage reduction is ridiculous. I have lost points in GVG for going an extra round just because I couldn't do any damn damage to the guy. Takes a lot, you know. So if you go against one in arena and he falls back, basically, besides the fact that he can protect other units, you know, like if he's using selflessness on something, not only is it hard to take him down, the thing that he's covering is, you know, he's doing some really high damage to you at the same time, probably. So, I mean, like, it's going to take your whole party to take him down, basically. There are a few counters to him, but it's basically, his counter is basically typeless damage and probably AoE typeless damage if he's already using cover. So, be very careful with Diamond Slime. But if you get him, he's amazing. Orb him up ASAP. Santa Crystalinda. She's blossomed. She's in the general pool, but she only... It's the same story as Valencia. She just got there. They have an A rank version of her that apparently is just as good. Almost nearly as strong, so you definitely don't want to be orbing her. Okay? And again, as far as crack spell damage goes, we have far superior options in a week. Sagittar. I think Sagittar is probably in Orb ASAP. He is in the banners. Not one of the most exciting things to get, although aesthetically I love him. His first Awakening isn't that important because it gives him extra movement on turn 2. It gives him agility and movement on turn 2. So, I mean, I want my movement on turn 1. Depending on your strategy, it might be fine if you hang back the first round of buff. That's becoming a better strategy. And him buffing his agility happens on his action in round 2, so it doesn't actually affect him until round 3. I don't give a shit about turn 3 in PvP, but he does have 2 attacks that do with a large fan range. Their damage is pretty much just meh, but it's a lot of hits. So with things like with shields, if you need to get through shields, he's pretty strong. And also one of those is whoosh type. I think it's only a B rank skill, so the damage is not going to be insane. But it's going to do a lot of damage. It's going to do a bit of damage to a lot of things. It's going to break down some shields. So, he's probably worth an orb. Very strong Zap physical ranged attack as well. Thunderbow. Very strong attack. Yeah. Sorrow. I don't know, like, where to put him on this. I'd say, dude, Sorrow's still busted. He's not... Okay, like, Nocturnus still stayed strong after Sorrow came out. If we're going to talk about the units that we get every 6 months for celebrations, you got a Stark, you got Nocturnus, Sorrow, and now Erdrich, okay? Nocturnus blew a Stark out of the water, okay? Sorrow was significantly stronger than Nocturnus, although, like I said, Nocturnus is still really strong in PvE, but, Sorrow is much, much stronger than, he's much more useful than Nocturnus. I don't feel like Erdrich did that to Sorrow. Sorrow having high damage, unreflectable spell damage, really high single target typeless physical damage, as well as Indomitable Spirit, which is so much stronger in practice than it is on paper. I'm sure that Erdrich is better than Sorrow. I haven't really played with my Erdrich much yet, but Sorrow is not. He's not busted down by Erdrich. Like he's just not the strongest unit in the game anymore. So Sorrow's still amazing. If you get a copy of Sorrow, orb him ASAP. I would even tell you to use Awakening Fragments to get his first Awakening, when I normally tell people not to use Fragments on older units. Anything that's more than like 2 or 3 months old probably isn't worth Fragments anymore. Sorrow is the exception, okay? Sorrow is still absolutely busted, okay? Let me see. Eric, Eric's, you can get Eric now. I think he's worth an orb, but he really needs an Awakening for his 3rd movement. His damage isn't insane, but he can crit a lot. So he's got decent range for cracked physical, I believe. You can also pump him up quite a bit. He can give himself evasion. He can do that copy move from the game where he makes copies of himself. So he can do 1 hit at like double damage or something like that. I can't recall. He's got some really high burst damage, but he's situational, so I'm going to keep him in worth an orb. But, yeah, there's just so many other things that are just ridiculous. Mortigan's probably just meh. If you got a couple Awakenings on him, he's probably going to jump higher up. Nobody has any experience with Mortigan. I've never used him. He has a unique debuff, I believe, but 1 debuff is probably not worth bringing a unit for. Although I believe it's AoE, but I'd rather just bring something that does damage than a relatively weak debuff. Veronica is really strong. I'm going to put her, like, right here in Orb ASAP. She's got no survivability, but she's got decent range for a spellcaster. Again, she's Bang, but her Awakenings give her a chance to echo her attacks. I believe a 20% chance. It might go up with Awakenings, I'm not sure. That's whale-only territory. If you get a couple of copies of Veronica, orb her ASAP, okay? She's busted. Her damage is ridiculous. I believe she also has a fairly strong single-target crack spell as well. Okay, Jade. Jade's really strong. You can't get her. She's story, so you gotta wait for Dragon Quest 11 to come back. Santa Elena is... I think she's worth an orb. You probably need to have an Awakening on her. She is in the Celebration banners, but yeah, if you get her, she's really strong, I think. She's cracked physical, so... yeah. Mendini. Yeah, I wish there was a tier worse than Meh on this list. I'm gonna shrink myself a little bit here. Anyway, I've not actually used Mendini. I don't know if anybody has orbed her, but apparently she's a piece of crap, and I'm just gonna go on the hearsay from that. There's really just nothing redeeming about it. It's one of the arena point options, so save that one for last, and don't orb it. Terry. Old Terry. I think I'm going to put him in Meh. He's probably due for a Blossom in a few months because they just did 7 in Japan, so 6 is next. Not that they always follow release order. Terry's still pretty useful, and if you get him up to Awaken 3, he gets some Evasion, which is probably going to put him into either Worth an Orb or Orb ASAP. I love Evasion, so yeah, don't underestimate Terry. Erdrich. I don't really have any experience with Erdrich yet, but I mean, we all know that he's the most busted unit in the game. I don't like that he doesn't have real survivability other than Dark Robes at Awaken 3, and I don't love Dark Robes. That's 20% off for 3 turns. But his damage is going to be ridiculous. He has three elements, attacking elements, basically. He's got a can't miss Bang spell. Uh, really good zap damage, some whoosh damage. He's just awesome. Kaklang is probably going to be a lot stronger than I thought just looking at it the first time because of how the AI works. I'm not going to go in details, but look, if you're an actual new player, if you started within the last week or two, listen to the people that are telling you to reroll for Erdrich. Listen to them, okay? If you've been playing for a week, or even, you know, a couple of days, like I said, even a week or two. Yeah, but I got like these 5 S ranks that are all good. No! Stop! Reroll. Reroll. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's not a thing. It's just, you're a new player. I'm not trying to be rude. You don't know anything about the game yet. When other people tell you to reroll after looking at your box for Erdrich, please believe me, just do it. After a month or two of playing, you will realize, like, oh my god, thank god I rerolled instead of keeping, like, you know, my 5 S rings that I now have, you know, a dozen copies of. It's not quite that bad, but anyway. Alright, god, there's so many. Why do I have so many copies? I thought I did this properly. Alright, this guy, this is going to take a while for a new player to get. I'm going to put him at the bottom of Worth and Orb because I think you're probably better off having Hargan Orbed and Blossomed, but this guy's going to do some really good damage. It's probably going to take a while for a new player to get this unit. I'm not sure because it takes a lot of different units to get there. But if you do get him, he's worth orbs. I can't orb mine because there's just so many. I have most of these things, okay? This is so many orbs. And if you're a new player, even though you have access to a lot of orbs and reminiscence and stuff, a lot of the orbs we were given were limited time only, so they didn't come back. So, yeah, you really have to be choosy as a new player. Don't get cocky just because you have 7 orbs sitting in your box right now. Okay, they can go really, really quick, okay? Each new unit takes 2 of them. Okay, this guy you can't get. We don't know if he's ever going to come back. Dread Dragon. I'm going to put him in Worth and Orb, but like towards the middle. Now, if you get Zenlon, put him up a lot higher, okay? But yeah, with his Blossom, he does some really relevant Sizz breath damage. That's a good damage type to have right now, Sizz and Breath. Breath is busted. The only problem with Breath is it's pretty hard to buff, but that's what Zenlon's about to do. Zenlon's about to buff Dragon Breath 40% in basically. You know, if you have him, if he's the leader. So even without Zenlon though, he's really good, but there's just so many amazing things. But this, I think he's a really good thing to take out other meta options like Elena, and I don't remember anything with low to moderate HP that's weak to Sizz, he's going to one-shot because he's got a lot of range. This guy you can't get. This guy's story, but it was Dragon Quest Die, which is not coming back apparently. Let's see. Can't get him. Let's see. Die, can't get him. This is probably Matt. She might be worth an orb. I haven't really used mine. She's got some interesting utility. I'd probably put her like towards the top of this list. It's not crazy to put orbs into her. Like maybe if you for some reason got a bunch of copies of her this celebration. But I really don't have any feedback. I believe she heals herself. So that's not usually that amazing. But I don't know. She could be good. I don't really have a lot of thing. I'm going to go ahead and say that she's mad though. Rap Thorn. This guy, he's definitely towards the bottom of Worth and Orb, but he's got a lot of range spell damage with AoE. I believe. I haven't used him much. His Awakening allows him to negate the first attack that hits him, which can be really strong or really weak, you know? If you open up with something like Bianca, well then he nullifies the first of her 3 attacks. That's better than nothing, but also, you know, that's that really weakens that ability. Now, if the fastest unit on the other team, if we're talking about, you know, PvP here, if the first hit is really strong, that's awesome. But yeah, he's gonna do some good spell damage, but I think there's a lot of better options. Angelo, I think Angelo's only meh. I think I've heard about him doing some really good damage. I don't really know much about him. There's a very low chance that you're going to draw him anytime. He's in the celebration banners, but you know, I think he's pretty meh. If you for some reason manage to get multiple copies, his value would probably go up. But I just don't really have a lot of feedback, and the community is very meh on him. So I'm gonna go with hearsay. Yangus is good. I have to change this down. Yangus is good, but you can't get him. You got to wait for DQ11 to come back. All right, so getting smaller now. All right. This guy just got added to the general pool. I don't think his nobody ever liked him. I heard that his damage was good when he came out. He had Sizz and Bang. Sizz was still not super common when he came out. I believe it was Sizz and Bang. It might have been Sizz and Crack. But there's much better options than this guy. There's so many more choices for element before. The first year of this game, you might have only had like 3 options for crack damage or something like that, you know? So every new unit was important. But yeah, at this point, nah. The only thing I'll say, he's probably going to get a Blossom eventually. So, but yeah, that guy you can just pass over. He's just there. Robin Udlum. I would kind of say must orb just because... I'm going to put him in must orb because you can max him for free, okay? So if you're a new player, and he's an easy farm too, so get him, orb him, and then for a new player that doesn't really have any awakenings on his units, or very few units, you now have a guy with a good attack, very high HP, depending on the content, very high mobility. He has move 4, but only for the first turn. After that, it's move 2. He also has a ranged for his physical attack. I think it's for his physical it's either line 2 or line 3. I can't recall. He can also lower defense on a multi-hitting attack. This guy's going to be really useful, really bulky. So I would say he's a must orb. You want to orb him ASAP because you can level him to free, level him to max for free in a battle road, and orb him up. Get him fully awakened. You're going to see a lot of power out of him. So for a new player, definitely a must orb ASAP. Young Terry. Young Terry is also a must orb. Okay, so the order here is going to matter less and less. Sorry. Young Terry, as a new player, not going to help you nearly as much. He does have a heal, so if you don't have Seraphy, you're going to get a lot more use out of him. He's really for higher end content. Okay, he's a buffer. His healing actually sucks. I mean, you can use it. He's going to heal some HP, but compared to Seraphy, he is a god-awful healer. Oh my god, he's ridiculously bad next to Seraphy's healing. But Seraphy doesn't give you a 45% potency damage boost, okay? Now that takes 3 turns for him to do, but, you know, the strategies... Here's the thing. He either allows you to hang back and get a strong buff on there, because when he's doing a alt, it's like a 15% damage potency boost, so it works with other things. You can stack attack and wisdom buffs on there, which he can also give out if you have him at the right awakening, although those only trigger when things attack, so you can't do those beforehand necessarily. But this guy is going to increase your damage output a lot, and he gives I believe a unique damage boost. So that's the thing about him, is that there are, like, if you're putting him next to Sorrow, Erdrich, Nocturnus, they're already boosting their attack automatically on every turn, every odd turn, and then he's giving them another flat 15% boost that stacks. So after 3 turns, that's 45%. So he's going to allow you to either do content faster, so you can take your best 3 or 4 units and buff them, okay? And so instead of having a 5th party member, he's buffing your best units, or you can hang back and then basically go into the fray with units with multiple buffs, because besides his buff, they're probably buffing themselves. So you've got a triple strength buff, and then you've got a triple damage buff, okay? And he's just going to go out there and slay. And if you're a player like me, you're like 45%. That's not like, that's meh. Trust me, when you stack that up with the other attack things, you're looking at like basically double damage on things. The damage modifiers, I don't know how the math works, but it's more than you would think. Bones of Paramos. I'm going to put him at the bottom of Worth and Orb if you've got him awakened. I've heard this guy's pretty good. His kit looks really good to me. I've never really seen him utilized. And he's definitely like he's not high on the list of Worth and Orb. Okay. I've heard that he's good. If you for some reason have him multiple awaken, I would say to put orbs into him and surprise people in GVG, because nobody plays against Bones of Paramos. Okay? Nobody knows what this guy does. And, let me see. I think I have enough units to go through that I will make a part 3 to this, because I just realized I'm at 35 minutes. So, tune back in, kiddos. I'll be back with more soon. Later.